What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to be going over day 1 of week 3 in my prep for USAPL summer and do a little voiceover action here. If you're watching this, do me a huge favor, hit the like, comment, subscribe if you find any value in this. But on to the session. I came in feeling really tired. I had volunteered at the meet that took place at my gym the day before. I was also training a little bit earlier than normal. This is taking place on Father's Day, so naturally we had some plans, so we had to get this session done as early as possible. However, the level of tiredness definitely had more to do with the day before. So I was warming up real slow, taking more reps at lighter weights than I normally would, hoping I could just get things going. But the whole time I was kind of thinking that I was going to have to take a little bit less weight on my working sets than I had planned. Fortunately, every time I looked back at a warm-up rep as I was working up, I thought, well, that didn't look too bad. So I just kind of stuck with the plan. I think in a perfect world, every powerlifter is hoping that they can go above the plan. But today the plan was 518 pounds for a 3x3. And I think it moved pretty well. It felt heavy, but if we're using performance as the barometer for whether or not we need to auto-regulate load up or down, I think this 518 was just right on the money. We were aiming for an RPE 7. And looking at it, it actually looks like less than a 7, but if you take into consideration how I felt, I think 7 is perfect. But here, I left this in just because it's kind of funny. I had even pulled the slack out of the bar, and that guy had walked in front of my tripod there. And normally I just kind of lift through it, but for some reason my focus just wasn't there. And it threw me off enough to where I was like, I'm going to walk away and kind of reset up. I do want to mention that it didn't upset me that he walked in front of the tripod. It literally just threw me off for a second. Like, we're in a public gym. Especially in a powerlifting gym, there's tripods everywhere. It's an obstacle course to try not to walk in front of them. So I just reset really quick and finished off that 3x3. And here I'm doing my 2 sets of 50 on dumbbell presses. I don't think ever since I started lifting that I've intentionally done sets of 50 on any movement. But right now, as we rehab the shoulder, we are doing these before benching on this day, and I think I'm underestimating how fatiguing this might be, which might be the point. I should ask my coach, because if I can go into the bench press pre-fatigued, then it will limit the amount of weight I can use. However, I could do them in the reverse order, still do more weight on the bench, and only have to do a little bit less of the dumbbell presses. But I'm sure there's a logical reason why the dumbbell presses are set up before my primary bench. So as I'm working up here, I'm really just paying close attention to how my shoulder is feeling. And on this particular day, it was feeling pretty good. I was not feeling any pain, maybe a 1 to 2 out of 10 on the discomfort level. So my hope was to get 5 kilos more than I did last week as I warmed up with full range of motion. And we ended up doing that. So, it's a pretty big win. I have 2 more bench sessions this week, and my goal is to hopefully replicate this on both of those. Then the following week, we will hopefully do 5 more kilos above that. So it's kind of like a hidden work set underneath what is actually happening. So here it is right here. It's a triple at 287 pounds or 130 kilos. And like I said, hopefully next week we'll up it another 5 kilos, which will end up being 135 kilos or 298 pounds for a triple. And then at that point, we can probably consider recovery about a 9 out of 10. And maybe we can incorporate 1 day of actual full range of motion benching. But Here is my first working set of 319 pounds or 145 kilos. We're doing sets of 3 on this, and we did 4 of them. It's really odd because to me, the 3-board bench is actually a little bit more difficult than the 2-board bench. I've never done 3-board outside of this particular block, so I don't know if it's because of how fatiguing those dumbbell presses are, or if it's literally I'm just so much weaker in that starting position that the 2-board press is easier even though it's a larger range of motion. But while that's a fun little tidbit for me to chew on, it doesn't really matter. All we care about is if the full range of motion bench continues to go up. And then on to our safety bar squats. We did 345 pounds for 5 sets of 5, and they are slightly tempoed, slightly paused, some paused better than others. I was talking to somebody in between sets about these, and he asked if I was intentionally pulling down on the handles, and my answer is no. But earlier, while I was still in the off-season, quote-unquote, I had been pushing up on the handles intentionally, which makes them a little more difficult, but I was trying to take my low back out of it a little bit more. But I told him that now I'm inside of 12 weeks away from the next meet. I've been slowly trying to emphasize taking on more load and movements. Of course, we still want movement quality, but there has to be a little bit more emphasis on adding load to the bar instead of just always continually making sure my pauses were exactly 2 counts, or in this particular example, that I'm pushing up on the handle as opposed to just kind of letting them lie where they sit on me. Also, something to note about these squats is that this is my first time using the new SBD knee sleeves. Long story short, they came in, they were too big, I had to exchange them. I would say based on this session, I like them, but it's a little bit hard to tell how much I like them until I get into a comp squat. But it was nice to actually put them on and get to use them, because I paid for them about 3 weeks ago. If you've seen my comp squat and other videos, I currently have been using the Iron Rebel stiff knee sleeves. So these are definitely an in-between. If you've seen any other reviews, they've probably said something similar. They're a good medium between the popular stiff knee sleeve Inzer style and just like your standard SBD or stoic knee sleeve. Whether or not any knee sleeves add any pounds to your squat is kind of up for debate as far as I'm concerned. I would say that the Iron Rebels certainly make me feel like they're adding pounds, but I'm not convinced that's actually true. But I think the mental benefit of wearing your preferred knee sleeves is still worth paying a little bit extra if you have the extra money. Anyways, this is the last set of these. This is definitely the hardest movement I have in my program at the moment, but I can't complain because my comp squat has continued to rise the entire time that these have been in my program, and at this point I've done 3 full blocks. We're halfway through the 4th block of them in a row. I think it's mostly to do with the fact that it's 5 reps and that it's tempoed and paused. If I was just doing 5 reps, or if it was tempoed and paused with 3 reps, that would significantly lower the difficulty. I think it's really just like cardiovascular limitations, which brings us to the crossover sled, which is in here more as like an adductor, abductor exercise, but I'm pushing it hard to try and get some cardiovascular benefits of it. And we finish off with some leg extensions, single leg eccentrics. And these are, again, just to be in here for more health purposes more than anything. I don't know how much hypertrophy something like this would actually stimulate. But anyway, that's the end of the session. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.